this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he can't win the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
I don't know what happened on there. I just plucked her in first, gave some gentle. Fuck yeah.
You are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
We go green for 40 minutes of racing around Monza.
Oh, defense by Ethan Grigol just getting so punchy.
And a brilliant getaway already from Josh Rogers.
Two pro drivers going at it here between Dylan O'Keefe and Nick Foster.
Stanaway's demoted to third. Webster wins week 9 here at Sebring through the final corner. That's a huge slide for Cooper Murray. He's just trying to barge their way through, and that's whoa, that's a merry-go-round for Nick Burkett. Campbell, Paolo Gaon, and Ferraris behind. Glenn Wood actually was flipped into the barriers. One of the most exciting pirouettes I've seen in quite some time. That's Van Gisbergen, and his day is done. Tell you what, if Calvin wins this race, I wouldn't be surprised. He's all 4 wheels up the racetrack. Wow, but he just saves it on the apex.
Contact almost made side by side through the elevation change, and Scotty McLaughlin had the move done, but he got oversteer over the crest. And
What a send!
Dylan O'Keefe sends it up the inside, can't do anything with it.
Shane Van Gisbergen already on the attack.
It begins and sending has begun.
And it's going to be a drag race to the line. Tuesday night is rapidly becoming a night to lick the stamp. Send it.
Oh, I forgot I was helping commentate here. I was just sitting back in my jocks and
Well, here we are once again, ladies and gentlemen, and this time we are here at the island. It is Phillip Island. It is just Send It as well, and what a combination we have. It is going to be the legend here at this racetrack. There's going to be slipstreaming, there's going to be sideways action, and if last week is anything like it is going to be this week, well, we might just have Steve Owen absolutely destroying half the field as well. So we are sure to have a great race here for the first of 2 races, of course. 20 minutes in race number 1, 20 minutes in race number 2, and there's also perhaps just a little bit of a twist for race 2 as well. I'm Bob, and alongside me for tonight is everyone's favourite New Zealander, because of course the other one that is on SimSpeed is Scott Fountain, and who actually likes Scott Fountain? We have Cam Dance alongside me. Cam, what a race we have tonight. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it certainly is. All aboard the draft train, because expect to see probably about 40 or so of these things in a line, just trying to draft each other down the front straight, probably even going 5 wide as well, just to make it that little bit more interesting as well.
No, absolutely. I think 5 wide might be a little bit under the ballpark, I think, because these cars, they're very, very small. The wheelbase is tiny. If you have never seen one of these cars before, I've got quite a nice little gaggle on track at the moment. And you can see the kind of slipstreaming we will see all night long, because it is a very long front straight, as we all know. And it's a very cool track as well, and cool track means a little bit more grip for these cars, which means more corner speed, less time lifting off the throttle, and even more time on the loud pedal. And you can see Brenton Hobson now making his way through turn number 1, doesn't even have to consider for a millisecond coming off the throttle into turn number 2, lifts off, scrubs off just 50 kilometers an hour, and keeps on trucking.
Yeah, these things are an absolute ball of fun. Basically an oversized go-kart if you want to sort of reference what they kind of drive like. And like you said, cold track, plenty of grip. These things just go around this track so quick, it's insane.
No, they really do. And although it's not quite V8 supercar levels of pace, current fastest time is owned by Zach Bates. 148.8 is the time to beat. And, well, it's not very hard to beat because there is 5 cars within just 1.5 tenths of a second. And that's not just some random number I've pulled out of nowhere. That is the racing you will expect in these cars. It is so hard to find a millimeter in these cars that you will expect to see these lap times get closer and closer as more people set lap times across the day. But you can see a couple of people doing a bit of burnouts in the pits at the moment just to cause a little bit of carnage. That very much is the Just Send It way. We have seen some very interesting racing over the last few weeks. Of course, Daytona Road had that big pile-up, but also an incredible finish as well. And then we went to Silverstone for round number 2 in the Audi R8 GT3s, and we had some controversial moments, but we also had some brilliant racing with the likes of our Aussie Racing Driver Championship winner. We had the likes of Jared Phillip, Madison Downs, some big names from the sim racing world as well. So to have that clash of worlds is what Just Send It is all about, and it's great to have that once again as we get to just 15 seconds of practice left before we end up getting set for the grid, Cameron. What are your predictions for this opening lap? Because these cars can run side by side. They can run close to each other, and they can rub panels as well.
It's Just Send It. I'm going to go ahead and say there's probably going to be a massive shunt. There's probably also going to be some very wild moments that Mark Scape would very much be proud of. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to what this race is going to unfold into. And, yep, plenty of scenes, that's for sure.
No, you are not wrong at all, and the grid will be formed up right about now, and it will be led away by the one and only Ethan Grigg Gold. A great job in qualifying to nab it by just 100.5 over Zach Bates, who showed very good form in practice as well just before we got onto this grid. Glenn Postlethwaite, Mitch McLeod, Andrew Collins, Blake Purdy, Guy Leach, and Brad Newman, your top 8 for what's going to be a very interesting start.
Yes, for sure, as we're just going to have the rest of the grid. You've got the likes of Emerson Harvey, Joshua Anderson, Dylan O'Keefe, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's actually starting about middle of the field as well, so that'll be interesting to watch. You've obviously got Justin Rougier, Brenton Hobson, and a flurry of different other names as well. One of them probably standing out the back is Gian Gucciardo, so we'll see what happens in this race because it's about to get exciting.
Absolutely, you can see, look at the multitude of cars. You don't see this in many other places. You can hear the revs getting all the more louder now as we get ready for race 1. Already a jump start on row number 3. Cars are rolling. Cars don't know when to start, but they're going to kick it off now. The 46 is in the grass. That's Guy Leach as he makes his way towards turn number 1 with the other 53 cars in this race. A massive field, and is going to all end up in turn number 1. Is it going to be clean? Is it not? We do not know the answer until they all make their way into this ultra high-speed turn. Dylan O'Keefe there with the flames on his car as well, with a proper hot rod mobile. And that is just one of many great liveries in this field. But so far, we've only had one car go around. It is Jack Boyd, a very strong driver indeed. It is game over for him already as the rest of the field streams their way now out of Southern Loop and makes their way towards Honda. It is a horrible start, it has to be said, by Ethan Grigg-Gold, who's been jumped by Zach Bates and Glenn Postlethwaite as we go on board with Shane Van Gisbergen. Smoke in front, Lockie Moneef also in front as he tries to go all the way around the outside. Not easy to do. You can see that a very brightly coloured legend there. 3 wide at one point, side by side. Has to make the move, stick into Siberia alongside the 41, and just about gets it done. So from 22nd on the grid, Van Gisbergen already making moves, Cam.
He's definitely just sent it more than a handful of times already. He's well and truly up the order already, so a lot of action just ahead of him, and that's a car off. That's, I believe, Michael Hammond is one of them, so all sorts already going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Dylan O'Keefe that was collected there as well, and he's collected again, and he's off, heading into the hairpin. This could be a big shot if he can't keep it on the track. Almost does a Steve Owen into the middle of the field, and does manage to keep it on, well, not on track, but keep it out of the way of other cars. So Dylan O'Keefe, he's not Spider-Man. No web's going to save him this time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely no web's going to save him, and that was definitely an interesting moment there for O'Keefe, but nevertheless, it's been a hectic start, but also a pretty clean one as well, especially for the fact that it is Phillip and having so many of these little cars on track at the same time. So, yeah, really, really good to see.
No, absolutely. And one of our biggest losers off the start was Justin Rougier in the 52 car. Lost 8 positions off the start, which is surprising because this is probably the closest you will get to an Aussie racing car in Australasian, or at least iRacing motorsport. So this really is something you would expect to be right up Justin Rougier's sleeve. But at the moment, it's right up Glenn Postlethwaite's sleeve, who looks to make a challenge for the race lead into Honda Hairpin. There you can see the car's moving around with so much room to play with the tiny wheelbases on the car. Can't do it on the brakes, but he's going to try and get on the exit, but that's not the way to get the power down. Burst in a wheel spin, and Ethan Grigalt says hello. Blake Purdy also saying hello. Almost thought about a move into Siberia.
It was very, very, very much of a check up there with all sorts of drama going on, but managed to all get through there pretty cleanly. They're starting to go side by side through Hayshed. Now is the car of Blake Purdy. Guy Leach is still going to be too wide heading up into the top of Lucy Heights. So Guy Leach very wide up the top.
No, he absolutely did it. And you actually saw Guy Leach there as well, clips the curb at Hayshed, and how violently the car actually reacted for just a brief moment. You cannot touch the curbs in these cars. You have to be oh so careful, because it's all about managing a lot of wheel spin and carrying that corner speed, as we're seeing a little bit of carnage happening down at MG, and a bit more bumping and banging and a bit more to carry on. Goodbye, 32. Jack Hodder gives the bump there to Benito Montalbano. And that is a very, very big hit indeed. But what kicked this all off? Well, that's just Aussie racing cars being Aussie racing cars.
Yeah, obviously everybody getting their elbows out tonight in a few different places, being one of them, and we've got another incident somewhere, but nevertheless, everybody trying to fight for position as much as they can. A couple of cars going too wide, nearly 3 wide in a turn 1 as well, so everybody trying to find a little bit of racetrack of their own.
Yeah, no, they really are, and that shouldn't be too hard with how small these cars are, but somehow they're still managing to fight their way into battles. Glenn Postlethwaite making a really strong challenge. We get the replay up on screen, and that's 2 from 2, isn't it? Every single time someone rejoins the circuit, there is a massive crash to follow. Glenn Postlethwaite looks up the inside at the hairpin, can't quite do it. He's so close. Contact, and goodbye, Postlethwaite. Your day is done, spinning around. And that will be that, as at the moment there is the absolutely horrifically looking car of Blake Purdy, who makes the move stick on Ethan Grigalt. So well done to Blake. I'm not sure about the livery, but it's definitely a contender for livery of the night, whether it's for good or for worse, Cam.
It's definitely a technically Odal sort of livery is that one. You definitely won't miss it on the racetrack, that's for sure. But it's, like you said, definitely a contender for livery of the night with how special it looks.
Yep, special is definitely the word I would use, but Ethan Grigalt at the moment doesn't quite have the delivery you would expect, but he's still making some very good inroads. It's a car you could really take a photo of, and you wouldn't actually destroy the canvas, unlike Blake Purdy's car. But speaking of photos, as Ethan Grigalt dives into the pits, as you do, but if you guys who are watching tonight want to win a Kelly Racing merchandise pack, and I've been told just secretly on the download that there's actually quite a bit to be won in this, all you need to do is in the Facebook chat, place a photo of you watching tonight's broadcast, and you'll instantly go in with a chance to win. And, I mean, for taking a photo, Cam, that's not a bad prize at all.
Absolutely not. That's a pretty stonking prize, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, definitely get in on that if you are watching on the Facebook stream, and could be in to the draw to win a pretty solid pack.
No, absolutely. And, of course, Kelly Racing, who are moving to the Ford Mustangs next season, so your last chance to get some of their Nissan racing gear as well, so it'll become a collector's item very, very quick as well, just to add to the prestige of that prize. But at the moment, we still have plenty of battles happening out on track. Brad Ryan is involved in one of them with the Just Send It sticker just planted onto the nose of his car, and at the moment he's planting a move on Guy Leach up the inside, and I think that was about the cleanest move we've ever seen in series history, Cam.
Yeah, it was definitely some textbook move there by Brad, obviously a very solid driver, so he has a fair idea of what he's doing, but at the moment it's a very radical livery, I must admit, much really like what we saw quite some time ago now in the VIR at Scops race, support race, when Joshua Rogers ran the Mad Fiber livery, so definitely out there, that livery is for sure.
Well, one of the big things about Just Send It is how many positions you can make up. And if you're wondering who is the biggest mover currently in the field, that would go to Justin Howe, who has moved from 50th on the grid all the way up to provisionally 28th which is just a ridiculous amount of positions gained in just 4 laps. Well, not even 4 laps completed. There's still a little bit of time to make more moves, and he's in with a chance here. Looks to the inside. Does he get the move stick? Contact with the 25 there. And that 25 driver was Glenn Serra, but he does make the move stick, and Justin Howe just keeps making the positions. I've got to say, Cam, how does he make it happen?
I don't know. It's a mystery in itself, but he's doing an absolutely amazing job to do it, that's for sure.
Oh, massive crash. Sam Devontier is one of the drivers involved. Brent Phillips in another. That 69 car, well, the number might look the same upside down or not, but that is quite the shunt indeed. Sam Devontier had nothing to do. I think Brenton Hobbs was the other driver involved. And we've got another crash at turn number 1 as well. So out of nowhere, the Just Send It way has well and truly kicked off. We've got cars. Actually, one of them might have been Zach Bates, who has actually just disappeared. So we'll go back and try and work out what's happened there. I'm just looking. I've got a feeling that might be a technical issue. But we definitely did have a couple of drivers off into the spectator gantry at turn number 1. So even where there's so much runoff here, Cam, they're still finding walls.
Yeah, it's definitely probably going off the road at nearly 200 kilometers an hour in some places. So you do tend to travel quite a distance with that slippery grass that's out there, that's for sure.
Looking at a move from Josh Anderson. Car gets unloaded, and this is where we're going to see there is nothing in sight except for this one little bit of tires, and they find it. You have got to be kidding me, guys. You had one job, and you crashed into the wall. Unbelievable, but what this does is terrifying. Well, not so terrifyingly, put Blake Purdy into the lead. What is terrifying is the driver in second place. It is none other than Mitchell McLeod, but he has an absolute miracle of Brad Newman at the moment. And Justin Rougier on track having issues as well, pulling off to the side of the road and saying goodnight. So unfortunate to see there. He is disconnected, so is Josh Anderson. So any bit of experience you may find yourself having in the Aussie racing cars, absolutely no use to you currently. But Mitch McLeod involved in a great fight with Blake Purdy and Brad Newman at the moment. You can just see that on board Brad Newman, the amazing face on the back of the car. And I'm not going to name the driver there, Cam, but if you watched last week, you probably know who it is.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a very, very recognisable face to those who do watch these supercars broadcasts. So, yeah, we won't name the driver, but we all pretty much do know who it is, as Newman goes for a big send up the inside, and McLeod giving him plenty of room, and Newman fighting the car, literally all sorts of crossed up, trying to hold the thing, and they're going to be side by side into Siberia. Not quite, and McLeod will hold on to that.
Yeah, he will. So nice little bit of exit speed there by McLeod. Keeps it running and holds on to second place at the moment, but he can't afford to let Blake Purdy get away all too much. And the draft should be pretty darn powerful here. 48km/h winds is just something incredible. So there should be plenty of drafts for these drivers as we look at Shane Van Gisbergen and the dreadful looking car there, the 97, making their way over the top of the massive elevation change here at Phillip Island. But all these drivers just trying to find a bit of a rhythm at the moment. You can see even, who is that driver in the all-chrome car? Techstar McCoy, I believe that is. Actually, it might be Job Stewart just behind. So my apologies for that. But you can see the chrome effects really, really clearly there. How damn cool does that look, Cam?
Being a fan of chrome, I'm just going to say it is the best one out there. So, yeah, I mean, you could probably look at that and go, I can see myself on this. So that's definitely a chrome livery, that's for sure.
It gives me really bad memories. That it is exactly what my cars on GTA 5 looked like when I was a 12-year-old. So that brings back some very unwanted memories. But the only unwanted memories that Job Stewart has at the moment is Alex John right behind, absolutely hassling him into turn number 1. You can see another battle up on screen at the moment as well, side by side into turn number 1. How is that going to end up? Usually it doesn't go all too well, but Jack Hodder and Glenn Serra do manage to actually figure their way out through that corner. So happy days there, but there might be a bit of a lunge here. Lots of free real estate up the inside there, and that is exactly what Jack Hodder was thinking, and he goes up the inside. Can he pull the move off? Sideways just about on the exit. You can see who is going to get the drag race out of there. It's going to be neck and neck just about, the 37 and the 25, just almost door banging each other, making their way into the Honda hairpin though, who is going to be latest on the break. A lot of attitude from Glenn there, but he still keeps the nose up. The car sideways on the brakes as well. Car 37, even more sideways. And I believe for the second time tonight, Jack Hodder goes around.
Yeah, not having a solid night so far of racing. He's been doing more burnouts and skids than he has been doing any sort of proper racing. So not exactly the way Jack Hodder probably wants to have his race going so far, but nevertheless. And looking up the front, that's I believe that's a 5-car train for the lead at this point.
I'm a little bit surprised it is only 5 cars with how close we saw the qualifying times, but the driver behind that little battle group is Shane Van Gisbergen, so don't count out with a roughly 4 laps to go that Shane Van Gisbergen can make it a whole heap more cars. But at your top 5, it is Blake Purdy, Mitch McLeod, Brad Newman, Brad Ryan, and Guy Leach. So 2 Brads, a Mitchell, a Blake, and a Guy. It is sure to be a pretty darn good fight. You can see that Blake Purdy, despite his very good pace, just cannot pull away with the draft that is in play. So it is all about what can Mitch McLeod do? Can he set the move up, or will he fall prey to Brad Newman behind, who was just waiting in the wings a little bit, waiting for any kind of mistake to fall?
Yeah, he's definitely being patient there. In fact, all of them are actually being quite patient in this last lap or so. So really interesting to see, and will be interesting to see whether the draft really does make a massive impact in these last few laps. And like you said, probably want to keep an eye on Shane Van Gisbergen and also Emerson Harvey and Tex McKay, because they're all on a little train together, and if Shane can pull them along, that's going to be an even bigger train for the league.
No, absolutely, and we'll see who was the fastest driver last time around on track. It was actually the driver, Brett Cananzi, who's quite a fair way down the order in 14th. So we've seen him have a lot of success already this season, but can he get just a little bit more success? Currently in 14th, chasing down Glenn Postlethwaite, who was in this fight for the lead a little bit earlier as well. But the thing is, if Shane Van Gisbergen can catch the 5-car train in front, Brett Cananzi in 14th, well, he's technically in that train, so it will be a 14-car battle for the lead, which would be just a little bit insane as we go on board with the Red Bull Racing Australia driver in the very bright car, making his way through the final 2 corners, which are so easily flat here at Phillip Island in these cars. But it's all about how you get that run. Can you carry the momentum? Because by the time you get down to turn 1, that exit speed you carry through that penultimate quarter is multiplied by a factor of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And these cars aren't on slick tyres either, so you've kind of got to work the wheels so that you don't scrub as much speed off as possible and just try and be nice and smooth with it. So it's a sort of a weird technique, but also a real driver's car per se, because it's obviously not got a lot of horsepower and not a huge amount of grip either. So really does produce massive racing. Is now Brad Ryan and Guy Leach going side by side through Southern Loop, and I believe Brad will come out ahead of... No, actually, Guy Leach will.
Yep, so Guy is ahead currently, but only just over Brad Ryan. Side by side, they will go into the hairpin. You can see a battle up in front as well. A big dive by Brad Newman on the brakes on Mitch McLeod. Does he pull it up? He just about does, slides it on the exit on Mitch McLeod, who goes for a bit of a crossover move into Siberia, but nothing forthcoming at the moment. So the Napa Auto Parts car is beating the Steve Owen Dinter car, and that is all going to be position swap on the podium with just 2.5 laps to go. And in the end, Brad Ryan and Guy Leach weren't able to make any kind of inroads. The one driver that made inroads, Cam, Shane Van Gisbergen, just about in the slipstream now, and he does just about have leverage over Emerson Harvey, so maybe no threat from behind for him. But with 2 laps to go, Shane Van Gisbergen playing himself as a big factor all of a sudden.
Yeah, you can just see the time that he gains under brakes there at the bottom of Lily Heights and into MG. Just massive amounts of time gained. So he's going to be well and truly on the back of this pack just ahead of him in absolutely no time at this rate. And if the drivers ahead keep fighting as hard as they are, this is going to be even easier for him.
You can see up front Blake Purdy weaving left and right, trying to just break the draft for even a moment to give less of an advantage to Brad Newman, who is the new chaser. Mitch McLeod couldn't make a pass or even an attempt at a pass happen on Blake Purdy, but what can Brad Newman do? And it's not just any Brad Newman, it's Brad Newman the third.
Yes, indeed. It's definitely Brad Newman the third, that's for sure. But we'll see whether that Napa car is going to have anything left with not all that long left in this race either. So it's going to be all about just trying to use that draft to your advantage and keeping up the momentum as well.
Well, he's got very nice momentum at the moment. You can see closing in quite quickly on Blake Purdy, who has to go defensive for the first time in just a little while. You can see Brad just testing out the brakes. How late can I go? The answer is not that late. Didn't meet the apex. Gets a very nice run out of Honda, though. Carries the speed in Siberia. Goes right behind the 8's car, who just slams the door shut. No way through. And now what Brad's done is slide on the exit. And hello advantage. Mitch McLeod, he looks left. Door is closed. He looks right. There is just an overlap. Through Hayshed will go side by side, 170 kilometers an hour, and that is advantage for McLeod until we start turning the steering wheel to the left, slide the car in, and look how much entry speed Brad Newman carries. Sideways for Blake Purdy as well, so he loses speed. A big dive from Brad Newman, thought about it for just a moment, and now sliding on the exit as well. I think they've all just about used their rear tires. They're all hurting. Brad Ryan, does go around, and that promotes Shane Van Gisbergen into the top 5. But for Shane, that is not going to be good enough, and he's out of slipstream range for this final lap. But the top 4 all bunched together into turn 1 we will go, Cam.
Yeah, all line of stern weaving and trying to break the draft as best they possibly can. Obviously, Shane now out of the draft, unfortunately, having to check up for Brad Ryan, who had at that moment at MG. But nevertheless, this little train is really closing up with the amount of draft they've got. You can all see they're really wanting to try and find a gap to get on through, and you can nearly see Blake Purdy going defensive, McLeod going defensive as well. They're all
here
fighting
we go.
the same bit of real estate as these wide, and it's just going to get messy from here.
Absolutely, it's going to get messy. You can see a great run from Mitch McLeod. He wants redemption on Brad Newman, but he has to be careful. If he makes a move on Brad, he could sacrifice any chance of either of them getting to Blake Purdy. I think there was a bit of unintentional bump drafting there as McLeod goes for a move, but Brad Newman just so much later on the brakes goes a little bit wider. The apex slides even wider on the exit. Hello, washer turf. Hello, dirt as well. There goes your exit speed. Mitch McLeod, you're up to the batter's plate. What can you do against Blake Purdy, who has not moved an inch from this race lead once he got it? Started 6th on the grid, made his way to the front and hasn't let go. But McLeod, an experienced sim racer, some would even say the best in the world, and he has to make something happen here. He has just 4 corners to go through the left at the top of Lukey Heights, and he has to make something happen here through the little dirt patch. The traction loss is real, but he's not close enough until he goes so late on the brakes into the hairpin there. Needs to get the exit speed, and it's just not there. The wind speed, 48 kilometers an hour, which is more than enough to get a draft, but he needs a little bit more. He needs a bit of luck now to get past Blake Purdy, and he's just running out of time. It was a great drive by Blake Purdy, and he might just have done enough from 6th on the grid. He will take race victory in round number 3 of Just Send It. A brilliant drive. Mitch McLeod will take P number 2 with Guy Leach in position number 3, with Shane Van Gisbergen making it into 5th place, our top pro driver. What a race that was, as we already have a shunt at the start-finish line.
Yeah, an absolute awesome race. Not quite enough for McLeod, but he managed to hold on to P2 in the end. Couple of photo finishes going on down the order too, but it's looking like pretty much everybody has sorted themselves out into their final finishing positions.
Well, you say that, there's so many side-by-side. It's a little bit ridiculous. You can see the 0-0 of Simon Black, who does so much for the community. Unfortunately, he's only doing some grass tending at the moment. Jack Hodder was involved in a bunch of incidents in this race. He's going to have a much worse finishing position than he probably deserved. It looks like no other positions forthcoming unless Sam Devontier can do anything and maybe gift a spot against Reese Lowe. He's going to run out of time, and I think the front end of his car is going to mean there's just a little bit too much drag to get any kind of speed. So I think that will be the finishing results of race number 1 of round number 3 here at Just Send It, and Blake Purdy would take the win by 3/10 over Mitch McLeod. Guy Leach, Brad Newman, and Shane Van Gisbergen, your top 5, with Emerson Harvey, Texter McCoy, and Alex John, your top 8. Cam, that was a race.
Indeed it was, and it's only going to get better because we've got a second race coming up ever so shortly.
No, we absolutely do. We have a brilliant race number 2 coming up, as I've just seen a car just absolutely murder a bunch of tires. And I want to say on SimSpeed TV, we do not condone tire bundle fatalities, but up on screen you are seeing a very purple spinning disc. And what this is going to do is going to flip the grid for race number 2. Where does it land? I do not know. I only hope. There is some very cheesy music going on in the background. And for Max Verstappen fans, it is 33rd position is going to be your pole sitter. So Benito Montalbano is going to become your pole sitter with James Fraser on the front row as well. So an entirely mixed up field. Your race 1 winner, Blake Purdy, will be starting from 33rd on the grid. That is a huge drop in positions. But for a lot of people here, Cam, they're going to want to make up just a little bit more ground in this next one.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a lot of hungry people who are starting near the front and a lot of hungry people who are starting near the back as well. So going to be a very, very mixed up order, and definitely expect a lot of scenes.
No, absolutely. So we'll get ready for race 2 coming up in just a few moments time for you, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, be sure to submit your photos on the Facebook comment section of you watching the stream of Just Send It, and you can get yourself in with a chance of a Kelly Racing merchandise pack. We'll be back after these few ads.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Time to Just Send It at Silverstone with the Audis underway. Good start from our pole sitter Madison down. And it's piled up already.
Absolutely massive crash on the run into Cobbs. Multiple cars involved. Speckman right up to your race leaders. Jackson and Harlem off the road, bouncing and leaping rallycross style. Drifting in the back of the middle of the pack. Roll over goes one of the cars.
But a move for the lane here. Down the inside, Jared Kilsell sends it on Madison down.
Absolutely looks down to the inside a little bit squirrely on the brakes. Uses all the curb contact, door banging between former teammates. It's all about staying out of trouble in these races, and Jared Phillip does not stay out of trouble. Goodbye. Yep, absolutely a fantastic slip from Shitty and Rouge with a massive dive up the inside. A little bit of a door bang, but nonetheless.
But Luca Giacomo, what an exemplary performance it's been, and he is going to win race 1 for week 2 of Just Send It here at Silverstone. It's Race Low who puts pedal to the metal to get race 2, week 2 underway for Just Send It.
Look at them all moving left and right down the back straight, trying to find any bits of room and trying to find any position they can. Oh, one of the high project cars, Andre Farrell goes for a bit of a spin on the inside of turn 1, rolls back onto the racing line just about.
Both of the drivers finished a bit further back than they would have liked in race number 1, and we've got contact involving Madison down. So they all managed to miss him. No, he gets collected up the front. That was inevitable, and he ends up on his roof. He's our race 1 winner. Luca Giacomo getting involved in an incident as well, and getting turfed off and into the wall. A couple of other cars involved in that one as well.
But at the moment, the only person going for the race lead is not going to be Brad Newman. He gets a shove out wide through Cops corner and will fall to the very back of the train. On the back straight, goes for a big dart down the inside into Stowe. Makes the position work on the 007. And a great pass from Jared Philsell. He leads the race as Michael Hammond tries to fight back. Almost gets the overlap side by side through club. It's a battle of who is going to get the traction on the outside. May just be paying favours at the moment.
The two leaders run side by side, and Justin Rougier might just be in the ideal position to capitalise on this as he now buys into the action as well.
Oh,
There's some plain side-by-side racing. Does Phillip squeeze through? Yes, he does, and here comes Rougier up the inside of Hammond, and Rougier is going to go through into second position. Great performance from Justin Rougier, a mixture of aggression and discipline to fight his way to the front of the field, and he is going to come through to collect your race victory for week 2, race 2 of Just Send It here at Silverstone.
This is some very interesting pit lane tactics, and Phillip is indeed on his roof again, but as you can see, on board, ground sky, ground sky, ground sky, and grounds.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
I don't know what happened on there. I just plucked her in first, gave some gen. Oh, fuck yeah. Sorry.
You are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a car that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
We go green for 40 minutes of racing around Monza.
Billy, look at defense by Ethan Grigol, just getting so punchy.
And a brilliant getaway already from Josh Rogers.
Two pro drivers going at it here between Dylan O'Keefe and Nick Foster.
Stanaway's demoted to third. Webster wins week 9 here at Sebring through the final corner. That's a huge slide for Cooper Murray. He's just trying to barge their way through, and that's whoa, that's a merry-go-round for Nick Burkett. Campbell, Paolo Gaon, and Ferrari DRS behind. Glenn Wood actually was flipped into the barriers. One of the most exciting pirouettes I've seen in quite some time. That's Van Gisbergen, and his day is done. Tell you what, if Calvin wins this race, I wouldn't be surprised. He's all 4 wheels up the racetrack. Wow, but he just saves it on the apex.
Contact almost made, side by side through the elevation change, and Scotty McLaughlin has the move done, but he's got over the crest. And
what a send!
Dylan O'Keefe sends it up the inside, can't do anything with it.
Shane Van Gisbergen already on the attack.
It begins and sending has begun.
And it's going to be a drag race to the line. Tuesday night is rapidly becoming a night to lick the stamp. Send it.
Oh, I forgot I was helping commentate here. I was just sitting back in my jocks and
Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for race number 2 at Phillip Island in the 34 Legend. It's the closest thing you'll get to the Aussie racing car, and we are using it in some of the highest speed wins to maximize draft potential you can possibly find. And the race in race 1 was perhaps the best we have seen so far in Just Send It. Up on screen, you've got some of the location information about Phillip Island. Of course, for so many of us, it is very well known indeed. But some of the fun facts include a 485-meter run into turn number 1. And in its current form, it reopened in 1988. So definitely a little bit of history, a lot of heritage behind this brilliant circuit, Cam. Couldn't have said it better myself, Cam. That is a really beautiful insight indeed. But we are just waiting for race number 2 to kick off. And if you are just joining us, you will know that the 33 cars will be flipped for this next race. So whoever came 33rd in this first race will now be starting on pole for the second race. And our race winner, Blake Purdy, will be starting all the way back. But that's not all. We have a couple of new drivers coming in as well. We have 5 new drivers who were the top 5 in the second split. But Cam, I don't know if you're with us now, but I've heard there might be a new supercars driver coming in for this race.
Yes, indeed. There's some interesting names, and I know you're a fan of one of them, so we'll see how they go in this next race and expect some very good racing.
Yes, indeed. We might keep that name secret just for now until you see the name in server, and if he is new to iRacing and he can't figure out how to join the session, well, I'm glad we downplayed it. But one thing we were told to, well, not downplay, but actually upplay a bit more, actually talk about it more, was Mitch McLeod's livery with that beautiful image on the back of the driver I didn't name. We all know it's Steve Owen. Do we think, Cam, we can get a proper full-blown rivalry between Mitchell McLeod and Steve Owen going in Just Send It?
I'm going to go ahead and say probably, and most likely I would hazard a guess.
You can't say probably and sit on the fence. You can't sit on the fence, Cam.
All right, we'll just go straight down the middle of the line, 100%.
Damn right. I think we can have a brilliant battle between those two, which would be great to see. And we'll just wait for our race 2 service to pop up, and we should get some interesting racing. But we do have a lot of new names. And we're just getting our director to find out who the top 5 from Split 2 will be. And we'll tell you when we get that information. But it's sure to be an interesting race. It's 20 minutes once again. There's no strategy. There is no game plan apart from pass as many cars as you possibly can. And I think that's why so many people love this series, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally a session to just jump in and have some fun, literally. You don't need to put hours of effort into it. You don't need to try be Ludo Leclerc and make your own setup. It's literally just jump in, have some fun, do some scenes, and yeah, come away with a bit of fun.
Absolutely. And also, just before we talk about the top 5 drivers from this last race, I do also want to mention as well that we do realize that a couple of you are having issues uploading an image to the actual Facebook live chat. So if you do want to get involved in the Kelly Racing merchandise giveaway for taking a photo of you watching the stream or just watching the Just Send It action, all you need to do is post your image to the Just Send It Facebook page. So throw them there and they will all be seen. So do not worry if you can't attach it to the live stream. All is good in the world. But for these top 5 drivers from Split 2, we have Ryan Jerrick, Daniel Stevens, Duvashen Padiachi, Sam Christensen, and Josh Haynes coming in as well. But whilst we're just waiting for the service to come up, Cam, who is the Supercars driver who might be coming in for this next race?
The very driver that you are indeed a very big fan of is none other than Cameron Waters from Tickford Racing.
Yes, indeed. So Cam Waters, I did see he was actually in the Split 2 race just then, but he's going to be moved up for Split 1 in this one, so we get to see Cam in action at Phillip Island in the Legends Raceway car. And I'll be a little disappointed if there's no Monster livery, I'll be honest, because I do have a can open right now. Monster Energy, please sponsor me. But this is going to be one of the more intense races, Cam, I think, because reverse grid, we saw it at Silverstone last week, we saw it at Daytona. Something just goes off in the drivers' minds where they think, oh, I'm 33rd now. Let's just try and pass 20 cars on the first lap.
Absolutely. You always get some drama or some exciting sort of racing going on when there's a reverse grid because, like you said, everybody just goes, I'm in the next position. Oh, there's a whole lot of cars in front of me. Scenes!
Pretty much. And then that's how we end up with drivers off the road doing lawn mowing at 170 kilometers an hour into turn 1 at Phillip Island. Cameron McConville does not recommend, but many of our drivers in Just Send It have already tried it. I'm sure we're going to see a whole heap more coming up in this next race. And I think this Legend car is one of those cars that it requires a unique driving style because it is so momentum-based. And that's why we're not really seeing drivers like Ethan Greg Gold and Shane Van Gisbergen, who are oh so fast, dominating as much as they normally would.
Yeah, well, it's basically an oversized go-kart because the wheelbase is so short and it doesn't have a whole lot of power. So it's just all about, like you see, keeping up the momentum and being nice and smooth with your inputs. You can't really get away with throwing the car around or trail braking too much or any of that sort of stuff. So it's a completely foreign car, and odds has it, I guess, probably the entire field never regularly drives this car. So it's just one of those oddball cars that usually brings various different drivers out of the woodwork and ends up showing quite some potential in different drivers.
Well, that's what Just Send It is all about. We see so many drivers in different cars and crack combinations to what they might usually be used to. I know for this series, we've got rallycross cars coming up. We've got a car that I'm actually being told I can't say on broadcast at the moment, but a very exciting car that I'm very much looking forward to. I don't know the track combination for it, but either way, it should be an absolute blast because I know it has been a popular choice in some one-off races in the past. But for some of these drivers, they're just diving into a car for the very first time into a 100-plus car grid like Just Send It is. Just Send It, constantly growing, constantly getting more drivers in, which means the level of competition just goes up. So, I mean, we see Cam Waters, a professional racing driver in the real world. He hasn't even made top split.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just goes to show how competitive this field is. I mean, you've got those professional drivers and you've got those names that you recognize not being up there because there's others that have been practicing or are just so used to things like the sim and the way the physics work and all that sort of stuff. So it really mixes the field up and makes it really, really interesting.
No, it absolutely does. And the servers are going up now, so racing action will resume very, very soon indeed. And it's going to be an interesting one, Cam, because 20 minutes, once again, it is a slightly longer race. We saw that one go out to 11 laps. So in these cars, they're doing 1 minute, almost 50 lap times. There's quite a bit of pressure trying to be smooth for that long because this car really does require focus, even though it doesn't look like it. You need to carry the momentum, have to get the exit as well. But what I am surprised about is that the draft actually wasn't as powerful as I thought it would be, despite the ultra-high winds. So you kind of had to position your car in a very unique way to make a move happen, or really, really capitalize when someone lit the car into wheel spin.
Yeah, I found it really strange as well. I mean, there's been cases before where I've seen these cars actually not be too bad in the draft, but tonight really has shown that it's not all that strong, which is very bizarre, and especially with the winds that we've got of 48 kilometers an hour, nearly hurricane sort of winds. But yeah, it's very, very odd, and I did possibly wonder if it's due to the direction of the wind, but not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's very, very tricky to say, but we do have a couple of things going on in these races that we haven't talked about either, as the 10-minute practice session is underway currently. One of the things we haven't talked about so far is our other prizes that we do. That includes the fail of the week, the best send of the week, and I think one of the more fan favourite ones, livery of the week.
Yes, indeed. Plenty of different prizes to win and awards to hand out. There's obviously probably a few good picks for each of those awards, but there'll probably be some very decent ones in race 2, I imagine, as well.
Nah, absolutely. Currently, we didn't see any major failed sends, particularly apart from, I don't know if you want to call Dylan O'Keefe on lap 1 in that last race where he went spearing through the grass through the MG hairpin, if that was a failed send, but that's probably the front runner for me at least, but I'm sure with the reverse grid we can get a lot more big sends happening in this one. And also best overtake so far is, I think, yet to be decided. We saw some tame overtakes in that one, so I'm a little bit disappointed in these drivers so far. I want them to up the ante. I want to see them later on the brakes. I want to see the stamps absolutely licked. But Cam, we're looking at a livery on screen at the moment, which won livery of the week last time out, and it was definitely a unique color scheme for that one.
Yes, indeed. It's very unique indeed with the grey, lime green and also purple in there. It's not really a combination of colours you would really expect to see holding each other, but nevertheless, it's actually not too bad of a livery, if I'm honest.
Yeah, indeed, and that livery hasn't made an appearance in this race. We have seen a lot of rust cars, though. I'm looking at Guy Leach currently in server at the moment, and his car is just absolutely covered in rust, so the Legend not doing as well as it used to be, but still carrying on track well nonetheless, as a couple more drivers join the server now and get their liveries loaded. And we'll have a little bit of a judging contest here, Cam, to see who exactly does have the best livery. But personally, out of livery of the season so far, I'm still going towards Brett Cananzi's Australia Post one from last week.
Yeah, indeed. That's nevertheless more fitting than you can get in that sort of livery, that's for sure. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and look at his helmet. It's just amazing.
Wow. Well, we may not have... Well, actually, I suppose livery of the week isn't car specific, is it? Like, I'm just bending the rules here a little bit. I don't know if livery of the week would be car specific. I think Brett Cananzi with that helmet may be onto something here.
I do wonder as well. I wonder if it could possibly be, but definitely a one of those helmets that you see out there. It kind of reminds me of Lee Ellis's helmet, I'm not going to lie, with the big old googly eyes.
Lee Ellis, if you haven't seen his helmet, has one of the greatest helmets on iRacing, so you definitely need to see that one if you haven't already. But a bunch of drivers currently on circuit at the moment. You can see another one of the... well, I was going to say it's a rust car, but when you actually zoom in, which director, if you could very quickly, you'll see it's not a rust car at all, Cam.
Yes, indeed. It is definitely not a rust car. I don't know whose face that actually is, but again, another one of those quote-unquote carbon fiber sort of style liveries where you've just absolutely sticker-bombed the face of your mate on the car. We did actually try to do that for Max Pants one year, didn't we, Bo?
Well, I ended up having a livery that was full of Jay Kennedy's face, and didn't get many approvals from Jay, but everyone else seemed to like it. So, I think if anyone else wants to get into Just Send It, I would highly recommend having a Jay Kennedy car, and if you do, that will well and truly get my vote. Will that get your vote, Cam?
It definitely would, that's for sure. 100%.
Well, there we go. So, what we want for next week, ladies and gentlemen, is a field full of Jay Kennedy cars. So let's see if we can make that happen. I'll even put out templates for it. And Bailey Sweeney rolling down the front straight. How did he roll in a... What? I have questions. I have a lot of questions. That was a horrible rejoin that was Darren Brown, who just rejoins onto the circuit and sends Bailey Sweeney into absolute nightmareville. Look at this, and we'll bam into the side. And that is a shade of Jared Filsell on the pit lane last week.
Indeed it was. That was definitely a wild ride there for Bailey Sweeney, was it? And a little bit unexpected. He probably didn't quite expect the car to suddenly come out of pit lane and decided, well, I'm going to be your plane for today.
No, absolutely. I'm just going to quickly check something on my end in iRacing. His race blue, so good news, crisis averted. But Guy Leach currently fastest driver in the practice session at the moment by only just a few hundredths of a second over Zach Bates. Of course, these guys were right up the order in race number 1, which does come with a penalty of starting right towards the back. The best they can hope for, because I know they finished top 5. Well, Zach Bates had a bit of a nightmare, but for Guy Leach, I believe he'll be starting down in 30th place, so a lot of places to make up. Thankfully, this track not short on passing opportunities, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely quite a few corners that you can have a good, solid lob at. Obviously, the hairpin being probably the most obvious, but nevertheless, it's going to be an exciting race. And like you said, a couple of drivers that have their work cut out for them in this second race with that reverse grid. But one of the drivers that this does advantage is Ethan Gagault, probably because he did have that pit lane entry that he did have to make after, I believe, was jumping the start in the first race. So won't be all too bad for him, that's for sure.
Well, I currently can't even see him in the server unless I'm completely blind. So I think Ethan may have almost just about packed it a night. So unfortunate for him, but do have plenty of big names still to run in this. Shane Van Gisbergen is one. I don't think we've got any Josh Anderson or Justin Rougier as well. So they've sent it enough for tonight. They've sent it right into bed for them and called it a day. But a lot of drivers just having a bit of a pit party at the moment. The 37 was doing some burnouts there. I saw Brad Newman before as well. So a lot of drivers just having their fun at the moment, but the fun will be ending soon and the serious faces going on in just 50 seconds time. And I'm of course completely lying there, Cam. This is just a series full of laughs and very interesting racecraft.
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't come out of this with a smile on your dial, you're definitely doing something wrong. So expect some very, very big memes to come out of this, that's for sure.
Currently 47 cars for race 2 lining up. So still another bumper-packed grid. And it doesn't look like Cam Waters has actually made it into the field from what I can see. So I'm just going to cry myself to sleep tonight. That's all good. But nonetheless, there's still plenty of good drivers. Oh my goodness me! What has just happened on the front straight? What just happened on the front straight? Director, please, Job Stewart. Oh my... What was that? Jack Hodder and Job Stewart have just had the shunt of a lifetime on the front straight.
That is quite spectacular. Reminiscence of when there was the massive crash in the Viet Supercar era here many years ago.
Yeah, so Jason Barguana was involved in a really decent shunt, and unfortunately, that was quite the incident for them. But we will now look at our race starting order for race number 2, and it all lines up behind Benito Montalbano and Jay Hansen, who is on the front row with him. Jason Bentz and John Emerson will line up on the second row of the grid, with Jack Boyd in a very nice spot indeed in 5th place. Glenn Sarah will kick things off from 6th place on the grid, with Ben McMillan and Ashley Ruskin your top 8, with Michael Kudajar and Justin Howe your top 10 in this order. So plenty of big names up to the order, and also a couple of names we haven't seen all too much of, so it could be in for a pretty dramatic race start here, especially if some of the quick drivers from down the order, you look at the likes of Shane Van Gisbergen, who scythed his way through the field in that last race, well, he might just about be able to make his way up a few positions on this starting grid as well. But we're just waiting for the revs to rise and the lights to turn on for race number 2, and it's going to be clutches dropping, and away we go. It's a great start from the front row, and it's also a great start from John Emerson as well, trying to make up some ground there, and he instantly gets the door just about shut on him by the caution safety rating and progress car of Jay Hansen as they go side by side towards turn number 1. You can see the gold there on John Emerson's car as they file their way in. 47 legend cars trying to file their way in. So far, everything is so good. And Jason Bentz there running a little bit wide through turns 1 and 2. But so far, Cam, maybe the first time in Just Into history, I think we've made it through the first 2 turns.
Yeah, that was a little bit boring. I was expecting a bit more excitement there as everybody was going 3 and 2 wide into turn 1, but unfortunately not the case to have any shunts, and a lot of scenes happening at the hairpin, that's for sure. And a car around that is Mitch Martin by the looks of it, and another 2 cars as well. So cars everywhere at the hairpin on the exit. There's just cars everywhere.
Well, we made it 3 corners. Well done, guys. But we do have a really decent race up front because Jay Hansen tries to make a move on Benito Montalbano, and is just about making it happen at the moment. You can also see John Emerson, who's trying to make something happen as well. Jack Boyd making it almost 3 wide into Lukey Heights as they funnel their way towards the apex. You can see there the 69 car just running a little bit shy of the apex, maybe setting themselves up for a move on the brakes. And look at Jack Boyd, so late, may just pick up a spot on the outside, can't quite do it. But it's all about now how you get on the power, how you modulate the throttle and get yourself a run out of these final 2 corners and down this oh so long front straight with wind speeds of 2 kilometers an hour in this one. So oh so much weaker, which means you might have to work a little bit harder for your passes. But at the moment, Benito has got some very good pace in a straight line. You can see there on board with Jay Hansen, who's just been closed in on every little millimeter. Bump draft, hello, almost unsettles the 26 car of Jay Hansen as they're just working their way towards turn number 1. No passes happening, but a little bit of teamwork, Cam.
A bit of bump drafting.
Oh, goodbye in the background.
Well off into the dirt, Glen Sierra. And I believe, that's a massive crash for Cody Butcher.
Yep, Cody Bircher is completely off the road now, and that is a disaster. And you can see Jay Hansen from the race lead now. They have blown their engine under brakes. I think they were just trying to engine brake the car. I forgot what it was called for a second there. Engine brake the car just a little bit too much. And unfortunately, it was all she wrote for that engine. And that is a disaster. There is Benito Montalbano goes off the road as well, which opens up from 11th on the grid. Brenton Hobson now challenging for your race lead.
Hobbo done a fantastic job to avoid all the carnage and get to second place and challenge for this race lead. Jack Boyd obviously making a bit of contact there with the car of Benito, but nevertheless, Hobbo having a look around the outside into Lukey Heights, but going to stick in behind for the time being. John Emerson not too far behind as well. Hobbo getting a massive run, and he's going to look to send it straight up the inside, or is he a little bit of banging going on? But Hobbo now side by side through MG, and now going to be nearly going to make a pass. Not quite, going to have to slot behind.
We'll see what happens down the front straight here, because if Brent's quite slotted behind Jack Boyd, he's not going to get any draft, but indeed he runs wider than he needs to give room to Jack Boyd, but wider again, so that he slots behind, gets that second burst of draft there. Now goes for a side draft. You can see on board with John Emerson just for a moment there, but nothing happening. They almost met in the middle there. Hello, you can almost high each other. They were that close as they make their way side by side. 187 kilometers an hour. Contact just about contacted by Brenton Hobson. He has guided it from 11th on the grid. He goes to the grass instead of the lead. And that is game over just about for his challenge. It is up to John Emerson to stop Jack Boyd running away.
What a save. I can't believe he actually saved that. He was well sideways, crossed up in the grass, as sideways as you could possibly be. That was just unbelievable.
We don't quite have an award for it, but if we had an award for Save of the Night, that might just be it. As from 25th on the grid, Shane Van Gisbergen currently finds himself in position 10, challenging Jason Benson front. So Brenton Hobson not the only one making a few challenges for passes at the moment, as Brenton Hobson runs wide through Siberia, just about opens the door for Ashley Ruskin. Side by side they will go through Hayshed. Hopefully it ends a little bit better than Brenton Hobson's experience of turn 1 though.
Yes, indeed, and it looks like it has for Hobbo there to get into 4th position for the time being. Ruskin now coming under pressure from Justin Howe, who's look to send it up the inside here. He's going to get the move done well and truly, and Hobbo's actually locked an inside front there, so going to be slightly compromised on the exit, but at the moment, all these drivers just trying to get through, and Brett Cananzi is off the road and around.
Well, there we go, and I'm also hearing that Bailey Sweeney is our current race leader, but for one very interesting reason, and that is that he has decided to cut half of the track in a pure just send it style. His fastest lap time, Cam, is currently 25 seconds faster than anybody else.
Competition caution.
Safety car comes out. And that brilliant pace that Bailey Sweeney is showing, there's clearly nothing to do with any kind of track limits exploitation, has been ruined. So his fantastic drive out front has been ruined, and he will have that 9-second lead taken away from him. Jack Boyd and John Emerson will all close up as will Brenton Hobson. So he said his challenge for the lead might be over. Well, it might just be about to get reinstated.
Yeah, indeed. This caution will close the entire field up. This will really help the likes of Shane Van Gisbergen and Andrew Collins and all those sort of quicker drivers who started a little bit further down the field. This will even help the likes of McLeod in there, who are still not all the way up the field yet inside the top 20. So really going to be an interesting restart, I reckon. And there's probably not going to be too many laps remaining. But Dylan O'Keefe up 25 positions. That is an amazing start to this race so far.
No, absolutely, and he's not the only one. Duvish Padiacci is also up 24 spots. Andrew Collins, 23 spots. So just staying out of trouble, paying off for quite a few drivers at the moment, with Andrew Collins finding himself in the top 10 with those 23 spots gained, and Dylan O'Keefe finding himself in 16th with Padiacci 22nd. So a lot of positions gained for a lot of drivers, which is good to see. But on the other side of the coin, Jay Hansen, who started this race on the front row of the grid, he has lost 38 positions. I don't know how many of them he's going to be able to make up, but there are fast repairs in this series. So with this safety car, you won't lose too much. I believe he has stayed on the lead lap. So pure chance of redemption here.
Yeah, very, very good chance of redemption here. Should the field have another major pile-up like it did at the hairpin off the original start. But nevertheless, he's at least kept that car on the lead lap, somehow after towing as well. So we'll see how he goes from all the way down in 40th.
Well, I'm a little bit sad now because I've just seen that Bailey Sweeney has been put into the pit lane to serve a black flag for cutting the course. I don't agree with that, Cam, because I see nothing in the Just End It rulebook that says you can't miss like 2/3 of the track. I don't see a single rule.
Well, first question, where is the rulebook? Because I'm pretty sure the series doesn't have a rulebook at all. So we'll just go ahead and push that one to the side. We'll just say the Evans aren't doing a good job.
Bailey Sweeney, I'm going to start a Facebook page for you. I feel for you, all right? You need redemption. This is unfair and injustice. So I'll fight for your cause. But at the moment, we have Jack Boyd. You're, I was going to say race leader, but he's actually a safety car very briefly there. You want to get a good view of the Porsche. I'm assuming the Porsche was probably a little bit more comfortable than the Legend would be. We'll see if he wants to do it again or if he's just going to chill there. No, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because he had the opportunity to get some headlights. And just on board with the Porsche, of course, on SimSpeed TV, we will actually be broadcasting the SimSpeed with the Porsche Pro Qualifying Series to get into the Porsche Esports Super Cup. And I saw some very interesting driving techniques used by our safety car there. If we could go back on board, please, Director, you'll notice a very unique driving style about the iRacing safety car. Look at the amount of steering lock he uses. Now, I don't know what kind of setup he has on the car, but I'm fairly certain he has way too much toe in or way too much camber because that car has amazing rotation.
It is turning on a dime without him even turning the wheel. It must have just amazing amount of camber and caster and just everything that makes it turn on a dime. So they've clearly, the mechanics at Porsche Engineering have set that car up pretty well.
Anyone watching on iRacing, please just inbox me that setup, all right? It would go quite a long way. But whilst we are under safety car, we are just about to hit halfway in this race, and I'm sure we're going to get a very, very exciting final half of this race. But we do also want to reiterate that we have a little competition going on at the moment for those of you who may just be tuning into the stream. And of course, you have a chance of winning a Kelly Racing merchandise pack. All you have to do is on the Just Send It Facebook page, throw us up a picture of you guys watching the Just Send It stream or the Just Send It server or whatever is going on, and you guys go in with a chance of winning a brilliant Kelly Racing merchandise pack. So that'll be one to watch and definitely one everyone will want to win.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic prize pack to win, that's for sure. So make sure you do indeed get in on the draw, and we will be glad to announce whoever wins it.
Yep, absolutely. And we've already seen a lot of people perhaps get announced with their prize winning so far, and a lot of people have been very, very happy. So maybe you can make yourself the next winner of the Just Send It series, and not just if you win the race, but also just for you spectators tuning in. And it's great to see so many of you supporting the series liking and commenting and, getting engaged with all the activities on the Just Send It Facebook page. So it is fantastic to see this series has gone from strength to strength.
Absolutely. It's been an awesome, awesome series to have in this community and on iRacing as well. There's just been so much good racing and so many good moments as well, with plenty of laughs and plenty of action as well. So we'll be very, very glad to have this around for plenty of time to come in the future.
No, absolutely. But speaking of time in the future, the time for the safety car to pull off the circuit is in the very, very near future. The lights are out, which means we will be going green at the end of this lap. And judging by my timing and scoring screen, we are apparently going to have 5 laps to go. I've got a feeling that's going to be closer to 4 laps to go by the time this car, the safety car, dives into the pits. We'll see. It will be either 4 or 5 laps to go. Either way, it won't be very long. So for these drivers that want to make moves, that want redemption, they're going to have to do it quick. Brenton Hobson is in 3rd currently. He was challenging for the race lead earlier, got almost half spun in towards turn number 1. He has a chance of redemption, almost gets spun on the safety car by Justin Howard. Look at the checkup that is going on currently as Jack Boyd plants his right foot and gets this race restarted with 7.5 minutes. Win it. You've got to get at the front. You've got to make moves now. You have to be on maximum attack. This is where the money is made, and there's absolutely no money to be made, so make some overtakes instead. Into turn number 1. They will go for the 7th time in this race. Brenton Hobson already looking up the inside of John Emerson. Late on the brakes, he will go side by side. Car slipping just a little bit, almost into the side of John Emerson. Has to carry the speed on the exit of the corner as well, and he's just about done it, but not quite enough. John Emerson hanging on in there, keeping the overlap until they go through Stoner's corner. Hobo already back to challenging Jack Boyd. What can he do? Under brakes into Honda. The answer is a little bit more than John Emerson can.
Hobo just staying ahead for the time being, and you can just see behind Justin Howe trying to run that outside line. I'm afraid this isn't dirt racing, sir, so that's not quite going to work. And they're 3 wide in the background.
There you go. How did they not crash? That should have been a massive pile-up. 3 wide. They're going to go 3 wide towards Haitian. No, they're not. Well. Goodbye. You are out of here. Exit stage right. Benito Montalbano is completely gone. That is a disaster there. And I think we all saw that from 100 feet away.
Indeed, it's not common to see any sort of car go 3 wide through Hayshed and it worked, but in that case, it definitely went the way we all expected it, and a couple of scenes happening at MG as well further down the field. But at the moment, that lead pack really has actually broken away quite a bit, and Emerson's kind of getting left behind.
No, he absolutely is. Emerson's not really able to go with Hobo and Jack Boyd at the moment, so it may be a 2-horse race. I don't know about you, Cam, but I'm totally okay with that if the racing is good. You can see at the moment the draft does look to be a little bit more powerful than it was in race 1, so clearly the winds were going the wrong way in race 1 to get the draft happening, because you can see visibly Brenton Hobson closing and closing, not quite enough to make a move happen like Alex John can in towards turn number 1. He will take position number 8 away from Shane Van Gisbergen up the inside there, but I think we should turn our attention to Brenton Hobson, because some serious pressure is being challenged now to the back of Jack Boyd. He goes for a really alternate line through turns 1 and 2 to really set up the exit, and it has worked. 155 there for Brenton Hobson, and it was 152 on exit for Jack Boyd. And like I said, momentum is key in his car. It's only going to build and build. It looks to the left, looks to the right, looks for the brake pedal, and Brenton Hobson hits the brakes, but not late enough to get past the 18 car. But it's just challenging, looking every which way to make something happen. And after the contact we saw at turn 1 earlier in the race, this could be a chance.
Yes, indeed. It could very well be a chance for something to happen, as there's been a crash further back in the field involving Shane Van Gisbergen. So we've got a replay on screen of the incident with Shane Van Gisbergen, and you can just see all sorts of cars going everywhere, and he's trying to find a gap, but unfortunately came off second at best. So a bit unfortunate there for Shane, but nevertheless he'll continue on. And you can just see Tex McCoy unfortunately just making a slight amount of contact and over he nearly goes. So back to live racing. We've got battle for the lead though. Brenton Hobson and Jack Boyd going side by side down the front straight. It's just nothing in it between the two of them. They're going to go nearly too wide. Jack Boyd's going to try hold it around the outside. A bit of contact. They're both off the road. And Boyd is going to nearly lose it, but holds on just to slot into third place. And Hobby will hold on to the lead somehow. But now he's got John Emerson right behind him, who's going to have that draft right down to the hairpin for the time being. You can just see tucked right in behind the draft. He's going to try and do everything he possibly can, but probably not quite going to be enough. And there's contact further back, and I believe that was Jack Boyd involved. So fortunately, that has all unraveled in such a rapid amount of time. But nevertheless, this battle for the lead is very much well and truly on.
Looks like I'll have to come back out of retirement to help you out, Cam. It's looks like Bo's having some tech issues, but what a race this has been. And packs everywhere, just absolutely going off. It's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, it's just been plenty of cars in every which way direction. You don't know where to look. And at the moment, you can see Andrew Collins in that amazingly, actually quite nice Red Bull livery, battling with Glenn Serra, Lux John, and Blake Petty just ahead of them, with him also on the tail of Justin Howell.
It's that car around there, the 23 car. Bo's actually had a power outage, so that's why he disappeared. Makes sense. Alex John also having a very, very good race. He's moved up into 7th position. There's around in the background there. Zen Devantier around, and that gives another position. Paddy Archie, actually, no, it doesn't, because he's also around the inside of turn 10 at MG.
Hammer nearly making contact there with him there, but nevertheless just managed to avoid it. And now there is a battle between Blake Pretty and Justin Howell going side by side in the turn 1. They're going to go too wide in turn 1. Here we go. It's nearly making contact. Nothing in it between the two of them. It's just so close, but Pretty is going to come out ahead and be victorious. And now Collins is actually going to get advantage here because of Howell running wide.
Yeah, good job from Collins to take advantage. We've seen throughout last season's Just Senate, he was the biggest mover throughout the series and the most consistent driver throughout. And again, proving why he continued to get top 5s pretty much every single race. Now into P4. Doing a great job as Alex John looking to get another spot. SVG's redemption drive is now back up to 18th position. We've changed the competition, unfortunately. We had to change a little bit. So if you quickly want to guess where SVG will finish in this race, pop it in the YouTube chat. In the Facebook chat of this stream, and you have a chance of winning the Cali Racing merchandise. You have to have that in before the end of the race, obviously. There's no point trying to comment post-race. It's a little bit of cheating, but make sure you do comment right now.
Yeah, indeed. And with 1 lap to go, which is roughly about 2 minutes, it's not a lot of time, but it's enough of a window, that's for sure. Is now Howell coming under pressure from Collins, but on the screen now is the battle between Van Gisbergen, who's really trying, and back to the action just up ahead between Howell and Andrew Collins. Collins right in the draft, but probably not quite close enough at the moment to take advantage.
No, I don't think he is. That top 5, 6, 7 area looks like it might be okay. As SVG has a big moment. Mitch Martin's going to make contact as he comes around the outside. And through on the inside is Ashley Ruskin, but SVG will get the big draft advantage. I think that damage from that incident earlier is really compromised as there's contact between those other drivers. This is going to be bad bump drafting down the front straight.
SVG just straight up, driving straight into the back of Ashley Ruskin there to get a bit of a bump there, to do a bit of bump drafting, full NASCAR spec nearly, but nevertheless, because he's trying to do everything he can to try and make up more positions, but looks like he won't be quite close enough heading into Southern Loop, although you never know. No, not quite. Oh, very close though.
Brenton Hobson leads. This is the last lap of the race. The clock has hit 0, so we are on the final lap. It's got a 1.2 second lead over John Emerson, but those front 5 look fairly settled at the moment. Andrew Collins the only one likely to get a move done if he can. There's a little bit of movement back in the field. Tommy Harradine, oh, look at this pack. Tommy Harradine, Luke Claver, Cody Bircher, Lachlan Manif, Jack Boyd and Dylan O'Keefe, as well as Ben McMillan, all in this little battle pack here. This is a bit crazy. Last lap, these guys are going to send it. They don't care.
Yeah, there's bound to be a send or two from one of these drivers. They're going to force too wide through Hayshed. It's going to be a matter of who's willing to give, but the number 36 car of Cody Bitcher really trying everything, looking to possibly make a move up the inside at the bottom of Loogie High. It's not quite going to be able to do it. There's going to be carnage, and that's the car off. Unfortunately, Luke Claver locking the rears. They're going to be 2 by 2 as they come through.
It's on for second.
But it's on for second between Purdy and Emerson. Purdy's going to have possibly the run. It's going to be very close. Bang wheels as they head it down to the line, and Emerson will just get it as they cross the line. And as you can see, a bit of carnage as they've finished. But this little gaggle of cars, and Birch has actually managed to come out ahead of all of them.
Yep, good job there from Cody Bircher. SVG has ended up retiring from the race, so he'll be classified as position 30. So he is done. Brad Newman just going to come across the line 25th in the end. There's been a huge number of casualties from this race, but Brenton Hobson, well, no 6th place tonight. Although his average position, guess what it is? 6th. 6th, no, I've just made that up. But congratulations to Brenton Hobson on tonight's win. Results on screen: Brenton Hobson, John Emerson, Blake Purdy, Andrew Collins, Justin Howe, Alex John, Glenn Serra, and Job Stewart, the top 8. We'll have the rest of them up on screen. Massive shout out to all of the supporters and partners behind the scenes. We need to thank JAC Technologies, Erebus Motorsport, Digital Marketing Tribe, Simworks, Melbourne Performance Centre, also to iRacing for donating prize for this week. It's been another awesome night of racing, Cam, and looking forward to next week already.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be interesting to see what next week is. Obviously, tonight's put on a very solid show of racing, that's for sure. And yeah, can't wait for next week because it's probably just going to be as good, if not better.
Of course, next week we don't know where we will be. I don't know what track it will be at, but it will be our final race before we have a couple of week break for Christmas, and then we'll be back into it once again. It's going to be a really awesome remainder of this series. It's been good fun so far, and week 3 at Phillip Island has definitely put on a good show. I wouldn't be surprised to see this car on another similar style of track later on in this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see Phillip Island in the schedule again at some point too.
Yeah, for sure. It's obviously a car and obviously a track that puts on awesome racing every time, no matter what sort of combo you have. So yeah, really looking forward to it possibly being on the schedule again at some point.
Need to thank all of the guys behind the scenes too, from the Just Standard admin team who put in the hard work, also to the guys at OSR for helping with the servers as well. Thanks to all the drivers for their work in putting on a great show for us as well. And thank you to everyone for tuning in as well. Our apologies for our issues with our YouTube stream. We'll have that sorted for next week. Not sure what's happened there, but of course we are live on Facebook and also on Twitch, so thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. Cam, thanks for jumping in this week at late notice as well. It's a little bit late notice for you jumping in, even later notice for me, but what a fun night of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, can't complain when you've got that sort of action going on all night long, so pleasure to be here, and yeah, possibly hope to be here next week if I can.
Yep, we'll be back on next week, same time, same place, around about 8:15 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time next week, next Tuesday night, for week 4 of Just Send It, our final week before we have a couple of week break for Christmas. But until then, we thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you do like the Facebook page. Also, check us out on Instagram as well, Just Send It Sim Racing, and justsendit.simracing for both of those respectively. Also, YouTube and Twitch as well, Just Send It. Next broadcast for SimSpeed TV will be on Thursday night for the Sprint Series Australia summer season, which will be on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, we thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?